So I'm going to get started by saying, for most people in my classes, I've given you the opportunity to fix up your assignment, your midterm assignment, which is a term paper or a literature review. And I'm giving you the opportunity to fix it, not only so that you can bring the grade up, but so it will give you good positioning to finish the paper. So in other words, we might need to make some corrections to whatever course that you're on. And so I'm trying to make course corrections so that you can plow all the way to the end on your paper. So if I gave you changes, then you should fix those changes on assignment on your midterm and resubmit it right back in that midterm slot. However, if you made a high enough grade and you think, well, I don't need to resubmit this, I just appreciate her feedback. Well, then in that case, on assignment 7, which is your final paper, I'm going to need to see those changes made even on that final paper. That will take off if I suggested some kind of change. And in no case am I saying you need to do this. Bam. All you can do. In no case am I saying that. I'm saying an adjustment needs to be made here, and it should be something like, or I give a suggestion, but no time am I going to ask someone to do exactly what I said do. It's your paper. It's your passion. It's the thing that you care about, and I'm helping you along the way. So resubmit the paper if you want. If you don't want to, don't. But I'm going to be looking for those changes to be made on your final paper. So I do need to go ahead and share my screen. I'm giving you a reason why you want to consider to use the template that I gave, as opposed to just starting from scratch and typing on your own paper. And then there's something else that I want to show you also. But so for a lot of students, they don't know about redlining, and I didn't realize that. So I made all of my feedback in redlining, and the students didn't know that. And so I want to show you how to turn right here. It's not where it says track changes. So we're under the review, and I know some people have Apple computer equipment, and I don't know what to say about that. We'll have to research it and find out. But right here, if it says no markup, then you can't see what I wrote, because what I wrote is in redlining. So you go here and do all markup. And when you do all markup, you can see everything that I wrote in red on your paper. And in the right margins, that's where you see a lot of the feedback that I've given you. A whole lot. And if you don't have that all markup, you can't see the corrections that I made in your paper. So you're turning it, if you can't see it, then you would turn back in almost the exact same paper, because a lot of the changes that I've written all of them are in red, and some of it is written, like this student is writing about Black Lives Matter and the Karens. And so when you get right here early in the paper, today you may notice BLM. Well, what is BLM? I mean, you've got to introduce a subject just like as if you were talking to someone from Mars. I mean, I don't know what BLM is. I'm an old lady. I'm your grandma. So, if you have an acronym, or you need to open your paper introducing what your subject is. And that could be I might be ahead of myself. That could be some of your literature review is going to the BLM site, the Black Lives Matter site, and saying what the Black Lives Matter have to say about who they are. That would be your first citation, is the one that you get describing your subject. And you want to get that from an authority. You could get it from a newspaper article. You could get it from whoever your subject website is, you could get it wherever you can get the good information from. But I'm asking you to make that part of your literature review. When you come out of the blocks, like if it's in a race, you come out of those blocks, you're going to start laying down that literature review. This is what so and so, you're painting a picture. You're taking your reader on a journey. And so first you have to make sure they know what everything is, and not what people say it is, not what the conservatives say it is, not what the liberals say it is. Well, you can do that too, but you definitely have to say, what does my subject say they are? So right there's 3. That's what the subject says they are. That's what BLM say they are. That's what the conservatives say BLM is. And that's what the liberals say BLM is. That's 3 citations, but you don't just mention it. You got to tell what they said by answering those questions. I'm scooting down here. Those questions that I ask you every week, you answered those questions every week about every article that you read. So you're going to answer those questions about every article. Like if you go to the Black Lives Matter site, or the Karens, maybe the Karens. This one is about the Karens and Black Lives Matters. So you got to find out what the Karens, who are the Karens? You can't just start talking about the Karens when most people in America today don't know who the Karens are. So then you're going to go and find a reputable site on the Karens, and then you're going to answer all these questions from every week on that. If you can, if the information is there, you've got to introduce your subject in every article. I've asked that you have 6 articles. Every article that's a part of your paper, you need to tell a story about that article by answering these questions, giving your reader a full amount of information about your article. That's what the literature review is. But I'm going to back up because I suggested this template. One of the main reasons why I created this template is so that people wouldn't lose major features. For example, here it says running head, title of paper in all caps. When you start to use this, don't delete running head because that belongs there. But you replace the title with the title of your paper, which should be this title here too. But then when you go to the next page, the first page and the second page are different. The headings. I've got this heading configured so that all you got to do is replace that heading. These 2 are different. This one, running head, remains on that heading. Some people lose points right there. And that's one of the main reasons why I created this template, because I knew that was hard to do, to make that running head different from the second page and throughout. So that's what, I mean, if you're not going to use the template that I suggested, you're being counted by having a running head on that cover page and the other pages being in, the heading being in all caps, being the name of the paper. And then the other thing is that I'm giving you instruction. So if you use another template, that's fine by me. But are you reading what I wrote inside this template? Because your instructions are in here. I don't know how you're getting by without using this template. Because when you get down here, after you finished with your literature review, then there's going to be a paragraph like this one that says, this section contains explanations of blank theory. Therefore, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have a paragraph that says something like that, that gets your reader ready for your research questions. Because you come down here, research question. You're going to say the overarching research question guiding this study on blah, blah, blah includes, and bam, right there is where you put your research question. Now, I gave everybody a research question in assignment 2 as feedback to assignment 2. And a lot of people missed it because I guess they didn't know how to turn that redlining on. Because I'm giving you feedback on assignment 2. I gave you what your subject was going to be. I gave you what your theory was going to be. And I gave you what your observation was going to be. In other words, what your movie, because we're just observing a movie line by line. Most people are observing a movie. Just to that movie is relative to what they said their subject and their theory was about. I just went on YouTube and found a movie and said, hey, deconstruct this movie right here using your concept. So I'm all over the place. I haven't stuck to my notes. But one of the things that I do want to say is this week, no, I'm going to go back here. So once you turn the redlining on, I'm telling him, dear Bob, see the attached because it has your necessary change corrections. And then below is the rubric that shows you how I got your grade. I suggest you make the changes and resubmit. So you go down here, like there's for having a cover page with a running head, that's 10 points. I gave Bob 8 because Bob didn't have that running head. I took off for every page. That page is wrong because it's supposed to be all caps and running head right there. And that's supposed to be all caps. So I took off for that because I gave it to you in a template. Okay. So then the next one is 10 points for an introduction with a problem statement. It could be a question or a problem statement, or if you got 10 points if you got that, and I chip away if you don't have that. And then the next one, so here it is, literature review with 6 to 8 sources as learned in weekly DQs. Anyway, what that means is that just for turning it in, I'm giving you 20 points right there. But you get 5 points for every, up to 6, for every piece of literature review you turn in. So this person turned in 3, so they got 20 plus 15. You could have got up to 30 points. So they lost 15 points by just doing 3. So then you get right here and you say, okay, research question, you get 10 points if that research question is in place. It wasn't in place, and it could have been because I gave it to you in assignment 2. I'm saying go back, fix it, put your research question in place. Go back to your assignment 2 and find that research question and drop it in place and fix it. Make it nuanced to fit what you really want. Because Dr. Roberts said something like your research question should be something like. So then we go to the next thing, 10 points for in-text citations. This person got none. They got 0 because Bob didn't list any citations in text. And so then the reference citations, that's the next one, you get 10 points. So Bob probably had some stuff in there. I don't know. Look, I gave him 5 points. So he probably didn't have enough, or it probably wasn't done right. But anyway, I told Bob, I recommend that you make the changes, and I suggest that you resubmit this paper in assignment 4. I made a few suggestions. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So I go down here. Here's where I'm telling him, what is BLM? You must, I don't know what it says, but if you click on it, you got to say what it is. You got to describe it and define it. So this person right here has literature review starting right down here. But it really should be up here. From the time you start introducing new information, that's where that literature review starts. You start introducing newspaper articles and different things that you saw that was supporting your point, then you start listing it right after your introduction, maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs in that introduction. I don't know, as many as you need to introduce your subject. But once that subject is introduced, and then here I go. From here, you need to use a template. I provided and follow the advice provided on the cover page. For example, tell what newspaper articles. See, I'm just giving them literature review. You can use newspaper articles. They need to be reputable. You can use websites. You can use all kinds of articles. You can use whatever you find the epistemology. It could be written on the side of a boat, just like, no, I'm teasing. But you know how in Moana, a lot of the epistemology was written on the boat. You know, when you're dealing with ethnicity and ethnographies and all that kind of stuff, it may not be written in a book. It might be written on the caveman walls or something. But you've got to list where your epistemology is coming from. And let me see. I think. So I'm going to go back here. So yeah, you look at that rubric and you fix this. You fix what I've given you that's wrong. And that's how you raise that grade up. You go, oh my God, she gave me 0 points right there. I'm going to go and put my research question in. And I'm going to go back and look at what she's talking about. What she said. I'm going to turn my redlining on and go back and see what she said on the side. Because even if you got a high enough grade where you don't think it's important and you don't need to bring your grade up, when it comes to your final paper, first thing I'm gonna do is go and turn on that redlining and see. And even if you get rid of it and retype it and I can't look at the redlining, I can go right back to that redlining I made on your paper and say, okay, let's compare. Let me compare and contrast what I said and let me see what he did or what she did. What did Bob do? Did Bob, he didn't have to take my advice, but he had to do something, because that right there is not right. And that's how it goes. Did you have any questions?
Well, so once we get this, then when do we turn it back before this chapter or the module 7 or during module 7?
Whenever you can. I mean, okay. I would do it right away because you want to get that done first, because you're going to pull your epistemology for your table out of your literature review. So all the stuff that you have in your table needs to be in your literature review. Okay. And so then you got the literature review done. You got a table that your teacher said, oh yeah, girl, that's a good table. Ooh, I like that table. Yeah, girl, go. Well, when you get that table this week, when you turn it in, you're going to deconstruct the employee as practice.
Here's my question.
Okay.
Here's my question with that. Now I've handed in my assignment, my discussion assignment, and I wrote it out. I didn't put it in a table form.
Okay. No, you got to have a table. Even if you got it, because I got to be able to just look at it and go, oh yeah, she's got her epistemology together. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay.
But you mean for the assignment, not for the discussion question, right?
I believe it's the assignment.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Not for the discussion question. I just gave you discussion questions so that you could keep learning. Okay. You keep learning over here, and you're doing this over here, and those two things are really not related.
Okay. Well, I just wondered if
you just got to keep that learning going and keep doing that. But that paper, that concept, try to deconstruct the employee. This is how you know, okay, yeah, I got a viable tool here that I can use, because I can look at my tool and go scene by scene by scene and try to measure what's going on in that employee. And then if it's something wrong and you can't quite get it and it won't quite measure right, then you can tweak it. You can nuance that you need. It's just like if you had a net and you were trying to catch fish and there's a big hole in that net, you would go and sew the net up to nuance so that you can catch smaller fish. And that's what I'm saying. That table is a net to catch the information from your phenomenon, just like I did with the employee. I read and I picked out some things that said, oh yeah, I got a measure for this. And using such and such a theory, And BLM say that they do blah, blah, blah. I'm putting that in that table. Because every time I look and I'm looking at BLM, if they're not doing what they say they do, I'm checking them. Did that make sense?
Well, it does. I think so. And I you're so cute. Well, my question is about, because the discussion question is separate from the assignment. My understanding is that when I do the assignment, then I bring in from my project, the movie from my project, and then I dissect it. Is that kind of what you're saying?
So probably I'm got my wires crossed, and I really did tell the master students, I'll give you guys more confining instructions.
Okay.
So if I did tell you to do that on that assignment, then then do it on the assignment.
Okay.
But I'm kind of looking for that on the concept. I'm looking for, I'm not looking for just a table. I'm looking for a usable table.
Right. Okay. I get it.
I'm looking for something that because when you come back from to week 7, the next thing that's going to be done is the paper. You're going to be reporting your results because you will have already done your experiment with your table. You see what I'm saying? And you'll be reporting your results when you come back. I mean, for week 7.
Okay, so we're summing up. We're getting the conclusion from the table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So let's say if you're doing a quantitative study, if it didn't happen, you put a 1. If it didn't happen, you put a 0. Didn't happen. Okay. And if it did happen, you put a 1. It happened. Well, you still keep it in mind. Once you get all that data and you collect all that data, you're still trying to answer your question. So how does this data help me to answer my question?
Okay.
But let's say you're doing a qualitative study and you're not putting 0s and 1s. You're typing whole paragraphs about stuff you noticed in that scene. Okay?
Okay.
Well, when you do the paper, I'm not expecting to see the table only in that you're saying, here's the chart that I use to capture the information. It's a blank chart, but I use this. Here's my ontology. This is the ontology that. And just like in the video that I showed you, once you type all that information in those cells, you type a whole lot. I don't mean 1 sentence or 2 sentences. You're typing everything you notice. Ooh, and I can't believe he was using his mom and daddy like that. I would never. Oh my God, that's against the Bible. And everybody else, all of the other faiths in the whole world hate that. And then look how he was doing his kids. I can cite this and that. And see, some other people will see that scene and not think that this was his family at all. They're thinking, oh my gosh, these are servants in Honduras and he's just treating them really, really bad. I mean, so everybody's interpretation is going to be different. Okay. And so when you're typing qualitatively, you probably will first type those sentences in those tables, but then you'll bring it out and put it in essay form and fix it, and it'll start flowing real smoothly. And then you'll have different sections because ontology number 1 was about, I don't know, how you relate to your family. Ontology number 2 was BLM says they do this and they really doing something else. So the hypocrisy, is the second title. And you will have headings because you will have gathered information that will give you enough data that you can talk in full sentences. This is not texting. You have the opportunity to talk in full sentences. And I do take off. If you got one I, then you're talking about yourself and it's not capitalized. I'm starting to get mad about that. We're in college. Stop. Don't do that. Don't send me nothing. Don't even write me. Don't even write me an email. And you got I. You starting a sentence off with I, and it's not capitalized. I got a problem with it. Do you?
Are you asking me?
I am.
Yeah. I would want that capitalized.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I was just, sometimes I forget.
I think that
as a
your
recorder.
question about the assignment is relative. Whatever the assignment is, just do the assignment. But I would like to see a usable concept. And then I just want you to be ready. That's all. Because when you come back to week 7, your experiment is done.
Okay.
You've watched your movie. You've done. When you turn that paper in, you don't want to be still experimenting with your table.
Okay. Okay.
I'm reading it just like you wrote it. I mean, so the categories on your table, you'll be pulling them straight from your literature review, and then you will watch your movie or your observation. Most people, I found a movie. It's probably one of 5 or 6 movies that I found on YouTube that were free. If I knew you had Netflix, probably would have picked a much more interesting movie.
Okay.
Or Amazon or some of those, but I picked what was free, and it was relative to your subject and your theory. And so I think that's all I have. While you're talking, I will look at my notes to make sure I said everything.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions. I think you cleared it up for me. I mean, I don't know how everyone else is going to feel, but I felt like you gave me some clarity. I think hearing it over and over again, and I appreciate these recordings because it does give, just listening to them over and over again or hearing the material gives it some clarity.
And hopefully, what I'm trying to do is give you kind of the same information, but to come at it from 3 or 4 different angles so that you can see that this is kind of like a puzzle, and it's kind of fun. It can be kind of interesting and fun, especially if you're in love with your subject. If you have passion with your subject, then even though you're on vacation, you'll be still thinking about it, and it'll still be moving around inside your heart and inside your mind. And so for those who are who are communications majors and who may be taking more of my classes, then you know that the next time you pick a subject, it could be the same subject, because each time you're going to have a different theory. And people who are in master's programs have a portfolio that will be presented at the end, full of their writing, full of their creations, PowerPoint presentations, film that they made, their portfolio. I'm trying to help you complete a portfolio that when you get ready to leave here, you can show any employer, you can create your own firm, you can go from there. So, I don't know. It's getting late.
I know it is getting late. I know.
I don't want to bore anybody, but I just want to reiterate that there's a reason why I'm giving you a chance to fix stuff. Everything. I never say it until the 5th or 6th week. Go back and correct that stuff. Where you got a low grade, resubmit it and then write to me and tell me, and I'll regrade it. Because this is science. This is not easy stuff. It's not elementary school. This is not high school. This is the real deal. And I'm showing you how the body of knowledge, how the body of knowledge is created. And I'm giving you the opportunity to be a part of it. And this is how it's done. It doesn't matter what your social science, if you're a historian, if you're a lawyer, if you're epistemology, ontology, oxology. That's the ticket.
That's the ticket.
That's the ticket.
Well, it's good to have it edited. It's good to have our research paper edited and be able to make changes.
Right. So. Because this may be something you've never seen before. And for the most part, I'm asking you to follow directions and to become keen on following directions. Don't get deaf, like I'm just using my daughter because somebody under me. It's like they get used to hearing your voice, so they don't hear what you're saying anymore. It's like, Mom, she's just talking. Don't do that no more. Start paying attention to what people are saying to you. Don't miss anything. Attention to detail. Because they'll only say it once. They're expecting, it's like, again, a race where you're running the high hurdles. Once you kick that hurdle, generally you don't get to unkick it. And I'm trying to give you the opportunity to jump higher this time. Because these are the expectations of the world. Myrna Roberts didn't make these expectations. Myrna Roberts found them and is telling you, hey, they're lying to us about what the expectations are. It's a whole lot harder than what they taught us. And I'm showing you where the real bar is. It's up here. It's not down here. It's up here. And that's how come we keep missing it. Because it's way out of our range. And so people are starting to get it that it's kind of, so they're forgiving me. But at first people are like, that lady is crazy. She don't know what she's doing. But I really do. I really do.
Yeah, it's amazing.